Buffalo Bills training camp update, August 16th. Coming right up on today's edition of the Bills Mafia Report. Yo ho ho, Bills Mafia. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe right now we are currently 27 days away from kickoff, week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And as excited I am that I am not currently pulling a bunch of random titles out of my ass like I was during the offseason, and I am thankful that there is actual football news to talk about, I am just itching for that first dub on Sunday against the Steelers, ladies and gentlemen. You have no idea. You did read the title correctly. There was a bunch of storylines that came out of Bills practice today. It was the first padded practice since our game against the Lions this past Friday, and I want to run through all of the ones that I find to be relevant. Before we dive into that, though, I do just have one announcement. If you guys love craft beer, which I know you do, and if you don't have Tavour downloaded on your phone right now, you are absolutely crazy. Not only is this the sponsor of today's video, they are a connoisseur when it comes into revolutionizing the beer run. This application, which can be downloaded on either iOS or your Android, super easy to use. All you do is download the app, scroll through some of the rarest craft beers on the face of the planet, and Tavour will legitimately package it and deliver it to your front doorstep. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. And Tavour is also hooking up the Bills Mafia. With code Bills Mafia, you are going to be getting $10 off after you spend your first $25. It's essentially like I'm buying you a beer, and who doesn't want that? If that's your cup of tea, I highly recommend downloading that app today, and let's start drinking some hoppy-ass goodness, baby. It's alright, Bills Mafia. As always, for these training camp updates, I did want to go on ahead and I wanted to just touch on a bit of the injuries that occurred during today. Stefon Diggs, unfortunately, still dealing with that knee injury. We had Isaiah Hodgins with a knee injury. Antonio Williams still suffering from that stinger he got on Friday night. Christian Wade's shoulder, man, has not practiced at all. Forrest Lamp, calf injury, which is interesting because I actually had him as one of my favorites pre-camp into making the squad. This might actually hold him back. Markel Lee, who is still on the COVID list, and then Tommy Sweeney, who is suffering with a foot injury. Dawkins ended up returning today, which is always good. He basically missed the entire camp due to COVID. I feel bad. He must have had a terrible case from it at this point, but I'm glad to see that he's actually out there in pads, returning and starting to make plays. But I do want to address the elephant in the room here. And I know a lot of us are probably starting to shit our pants, rather. Stefon Diggs has been out for, I would say, a little bit over a week with a knee injury. Now, as I'm sure you know, the Buffalo Bills organization in general, they're notorious for keeping everything close to the vests. They essentially ended up taking a page out of the Patriots book, letting you know, yeah, he might be okay, he might not be okay. But here are my thoughts with everything that I have read, and just based off the fact that while he's been suffering through his injury, he's still seen walking around on the sidelines, talking to other receivers. There is no doubt in my mind that Dude Man's going to be fully healthy, 100%, and ready to play week 1 against the Steelers. In my opinion, I could care less if he plays a single snap in the preseason. I mean, I would be fine if we even kept him at limited work the rest of training camp at this point. He's a veteran, in my opinion, one of the best wide receivers in the entire league. And, I mean, last year, we saw how effective he was last year with basically 0 training camp and 0 preseason. And so I think this knee injury is more so the Buffalo Bills organization leaning to the cautious side in order not to aggravate it, because I do not want to be without our number 1 receiver going into week 1. So as far as his injury is concerned, I probably wouldn't be going crazy about it. I have a feeling, like I said, better to be safe than sorry. Next up, the Buffalo Bills have had quite a few special guests, sort of being a, let's say, an honorary coach during a couple of practices. As I'm sure you know, former linebacker of the Carolina Panthers. He served under Sean McDermott for a little while during the 2015 Panthers run. Luke Kuechly has been seen out not once, but 2 days in a row working with the linebackers with the Buffalo Bills. Now, Luke, if you're watching this, hear me out, my guy. You're still 30 years old. I guarantee you could still wreck some fools. But in all seriousness, I think that was super cool that he's coming out there, between Zoe being there, between Luke Kuechly coming out there. I really think that that's something that would really benefit Edmonds. And so is entering in, I would say, a pretty important year in his overall career as a Buffalo Bill. So I think that any type of knowledge that he can retain from not only Zoe, but Luke Kuechly as well is only going to be beneficial. Super cool seeing him out there, and I hope he's a bit more involved moving forward. Now when it comes down to the actual practice, apparently the offense was impressing yet again, led of course by Josh Allen. I feel like out of all the research I've ever done, out of any practice so far in 2021, there was maybe 1 year where I saw somebody report that Allen wasn't the sharpest. That was not today. Once again, apparently he was absolutely dominating in those 2-minute drills, and he's really starting to gain some chemistry with receivers that he normally doesn't go to. With Stefon Diggs being out, he's having an opportunity to really start experimenting with some of his new weapons, specifically Jake Kumerow and Emmanuel Sanders. Now with Kumerow, which is even more interesting, Josh Allen has nothing but praise to say about this guy. In fact, this is what he said specifically. And so he just puts his head down and he works. He is the definition of a gamer, like get in the game and do whatever it takes. But again, just being finely crafted with his skill right now and understanding different routes, different press jam techniques to get off. He's a big body receiver and he uses his physical tools. He's just the guy that you root for. 2, we have all been speculating about what this wide receiver room is going to look like. Of course, we ended up seeing flashes from a couple of guys that are most likely going to get cut, i.e. Stevenson and i.e. Hodgins. Hodgins didn't do himself any favors being on the sidelines as Kumerow continues to dominate. Still probably one of my favorites when it comes down into him blocking in that 6th spot for the wide receiver room as well. But so far, it seems like the chemistry on the offense side of things has been really zipping, especially when it comes to the supposed starting first-string team. And so defense ended up having some splash plays again as well. It looked like AJ Epinesa ended up recovering a fumble and ended up bringing it back into the end zone. And Gregory Rousseau continues to impress. We all know how excited we got on Friday night when just the 3rd play, Rousseau ended up recording his very first sack as a Buffalo Bill. Regardless, it was in the preseason, but come on, please give me my moment. He also ended up racking another tackle for a loss and a sack again today against Mitchell Trubisky. Overall, our defensive line seems to be really, really meshing. Star Lotulelei, on the other hand, is doing fantastic. And so especially after completely sitting out the entire 2020 season, he's doing so well that he didn't even end up playing against Detroit that very first preseason game. Sounds like he's making the transition as smoothly as possible. Dom Mafia, that's going to have to do it for the main storylines today at Bills Camp. Do me a favor, as always, leave a comment. What do you think about this entire situation? If you haven't already, smash the ever-living out of that like button, subscribe to this channel, and before I let you go, always remember, let's go Buffalo.